Sometimes revenge is so brutal,
The scene just became more and more horrific.
so vicious,
That is one of the most brutal murders I've ever encountered.
it can sicken, harden cops,
I just was not prepared to see what I saw.
and leave an entire town quaking with fear.
And the place was in shock, and people were terrified. People were terrified.
19-year-old Britney Norwood is a star soccer player who wins a scholarship to a New York college in 2003. But she is also a thief.
Britney had a history of theft and stealing, taking advantage of people closest to her.
You got a problem? Huh? Huh?
When she gets caught, she loses her scholarship.
She had been discharged from her soccer scholarship at the college where she was attending because of stealing from her teammates. She had lost her scholarship.
It's not the first time Britney is caught stealing.
While she was never convicted of a crime, ever, there was some foreshadowing. There were some things there that made you know not everything what might be as it appeared in the life of this young woman.
8 years later, in Bethesda, Maryland, Britney's sporting interests are once again put to good use. As a sales assistant at a popular chain of athletic stores, Lululemon. And she has a good manager in sunny 30-year-old Jana Murray.
How's everything going? Good. Yeah, great. I was thinking, when we photed them.
Jana Murray walks into the room. Jana Murray is probably the smartest person in the room and maybe the most beautiful. She had finished her coursework on her second and third masters, which included an MBA from one of our more prestigious universities, Johns Hopkins.
Jana is an ambitious go-getter, and supervising the store is the first step in an ambitious career plan.
She was about to move out to the Seattle area where her longtime boyfriend lived. She liked working at the store so much she was possibly going to work at the corporate office out there.
Jana's career prospects are glittering. For Britney, the store job is just a stepping stone.
What Britney really wanted to do was become a personal trainer. She had interviewed at this high-end gym around the corner, and she was really about to get this job.
Both girls' futures are looking bright until it comes to a routine that they're required to do every evening when they close up shop. It's standard security for employees to check each other's bags for theft. It is usually uneventful, except on the night of March 11th, 2010. Britney is caught stealing from the store.
When Jana checks Britney's bag, she's got a pair of pants from the store.
Oh, do you have the receipt?
She asks for the receipt.
No, you know what? I must have tossed it.
She can't produce the receipt. They go back and they try to get onto the store computer. Store computer has been logged off. They can't get it to reboot. They can't check it.
We can check it.
They say, okay, fine, we'll deal with it tomorrow morning. They walk out. They go separate ways.
After Britney and Gina left the store and went their separate ways, Britney had some time to think about what she had done and that it was probably going to be a catastrophe for her.
Britney tries to call Jana to beg forgiveness, but she's not quick enough.
As soon as Jana gets out, she makes 2 phone calls.
Did Britney buy some pants today?
She calls the young lady who Britney says she bought the pants from. Woman says, I didn't sell her anything.
No, I didn't think so. Okay, thanks. Bye.
Second phone call goes to the store manager.
Jana said, look, I found something. I think Britney stole something.
Because they were in her bag and I didn't see a receipt.
The store manager says, fine, I'll deal with it in the morning. I'm gonna fire her.
Britney needs to think fast. In the past, her stealing cost her a scholarship. Now she stands to lose her livelihood.
It was gonna cost her the job she'd been working towards as a personal trainer.
I think she realized afterwards that her life was about to change. She wasn't going to get that job. Everyone would find out, and she absolutely could not bear that.
Hey, Jada.
When Britney finally gets through to her colleague, she claims she's left her wallet in the store.
Cool. Thanks.
We don't believe that she ever forgot anything. This was subterfuge to lure her back to the store.
The two girls meet alone at the store. By morning, it will be a shocking crime scene. March 11th, 2011, Bethesda, Maryland.
No, all good.
In an upscale Lululemon store in the suburbs of Washington, D.C. Britney Norwood, 29, is caught stealing clothes by her colleague, 30-year-old Jana Murray. But fate seems to intervene to keep her secret. Employees arrive at work to a shocking sight. Supervisor Jana lies dead in a pool of blood, brutally beaten and apparently raped. In a bathroom, another terrified victim.
The initial story came from her that two masked men came into the store after they had closed it, attacked both of them, sexually assaulted both of them, killed Jana.
The claim seems to be confirmed when police find bloody footprints throughout the store, made by a man's size 14 shoe. A public appeal is made for help to solve this horrific crime.
You have a community who thinks that they're looking for two boogeymen. 300 leads were followed by this police department.
Britney recovers in the hospital
How's my friend?
and learns her colleague hasn't survived. With a young woman murdered and Britney assaulted, shoplifting is the last thing anyone is worrying about. Until police find an interesting clue in the store.
We find a man size 14 in the store that is hidden in a shelf that was washed off. You don't have to be an expert to see that this impression was made by this shoe.
But who do they belong to, and why were they left in the store? DNA tests reveal the answers.
Britney's DNA was in shoes that had tracked through this blood. The leading theory is that Britney started this by hitting Jane in the head with some heavy object.
This was not a quick death. Death was slow, it was torturous. There were 10 weapons used, at least. The metal bar, an iron bar, must weigh about 10 pounds, used to crush your skull. What you have is during the course of this attack, once it begins, Britney stopping, going and get another weapon. Because whatever she had at the time wasn't doing the job. There were 102 defensive wounds on her hands, her inner arms, where she was trying to ward off the blows.
The reason Britney was able to start and stop the assault so many times and use so many different weapons is because she was enjoying herself and she was experimenting. It wouldn't have been that difficult for Britney to just finish her off, but she didn't. She played with her. She was enjoying, I think, Jana's suffering.
Jana survived every one of 332 blows. And it was the 332nd blow that killed her. The last blow was with a knife. That knife is on the opposite end of the store. She has to leave Jana's body. She has to get that knife, walk back across the store to the body of Jana, and stab her twice. One goes in one side of the neck, out the other goes into her brain, and that's the injury that kills her.
Britney doesn't flee the scene. Instead, she makes it look like Jana is the victim of a robbery, one that ends in rape. She molests Jana's corpse in a degrading fashion.
After she killed her, she went back and she cut her pants, and she did some other things to make it appear that Jana had been sexually assaulted.
She wanted to create the idea that there were men in there, so she knew that the store had a pair of men's shoes.
She had taken off her own shoes, put on the men's shoes, walked in Jana's blood, and walked all over the store in these size 14s to make it look like there had been a man in there.
There's no handbook for murder. And so Britney had to figure this out as she was going along. So after the murder, she concocts this ridiculous plan to make it look like she was also the victim of an attack.
In order to play the victim, Britney needs to look like one.
She cut her forehead, she took razor blades, cut her breasts, cut her stomach, cut her legs. She made herself look like she was the victim of a sexual attack.
A scalpel and zip ties complete her alibi.
The entire scene was a recreation, and she had from 10 o'clock at night to 8 o'clock in the morning to do it. She had hours to do it.
Britney is charged with first-degree murder. She pleads guilty, but claims her sadistic acts were not premeditated. She simply lost it.
But the evidence worked against that. Each one of those wounds is a time that Britney could have stopped. And not only is she not stopping, but she's doing more and more. And so it was just impossible for the jury to conclude anything else that other than this was premeditated.
The jury's decision is quick. A guilty verdict is handed down in less than an hour. On January 27th, 2012, Britney Norwood is sentenced to life in jail with no chance of parole.
She got the highest possible sentence you can get here in Maryland for the crime she committed. I have prosecuted over 100 murderers, many women who were accused of murder. I've never seen anything of this level of violence involving a woman. Nothing that even approaches it.
It's possible for someone to be really messed up inside and not have others see it. Some people are very skilled at hiding a dark nature, and Britney was one of those people.
Rustington, Southern England, 1998. Two-time divorcee, 38-year-old Dina Webb is again looking for love.
Bubbly blonde who loves a laugh seeks the company of a like-minded man.
Dina would meet men mostly through Lonely Hearts columns.
Hello? Yes, I'm the bubbly blonde. Thank you for ringing.
A lot of men wanted to meet Dina, and she had her pick.
What's your name?
They were ready to fall in love.
Her ad lures another divorcee, Richard Thompson, a successful manager working for a global telecommunications company.
Dina could read men brilliantly. She would very quickly identify whether they had money, what their hopes were, what their ambitions were.
Richard thought he had met his soulmate. He liked deep-sea fishing. She claimed that she liked deep-sea fishing as well.
Hey, I've got lots of contacts in America.
He was amazed that someone would care about him that much.
You think we could?
Definitely.
A whirlwind romance leads to marriage. The couple share more than a bed. They share their assets, too. And Richard isn't the only one with money.
Dina told Richard she had won the lottery.
She told Richard that she had a contact in America that would make him tens of millions of pounds.
But before the newlyweds depart for the States, Dina plans a special going-away present.
Dina used the promise of wild sex to get Richard into a compromising, helpless position.
Pretty kinky.
You'll love it.
He lay there expecting something sexual to happen.
What are you doing?
Just getting ready.
After the first blow, he was confused. The second blow on his head, and he suddenly thought, I'm fighting for my life here.
She then tries to stab him, but he's fortunate enough he's able to release his hands.
Drop the knife, or I'll break your eyes out! What the hell is going on?
Richard saves his life, but not his livelihood. Dina has cleaned out all his accounts.
He suddenly realized that all his money had been drained, that he made out his will to her, he'd given her power of attorney over his affairs. And suddenly the penny drops. Basically, he wasn't meant to be here.
Dina would set her sights on a victim based on two things. Could she get access to their finances? And could she hurt them?
Police think they've got a winning case, and Richard is their star witness. But Dina's got a story to tell the jury, too.
She admitted to Richard that she'd conned him. He flew into a blind rage and attacked her. And that to defend herself, she picked up a baseball bat.
Dina worked her magic on an entire jury and convinced them that she was the victim.
It's probably the most staggering court verdict I've ever had.
But Dina can't talk her way out of defrauding Richard and gets 3 years and 9 months in jail. Frustrated police look deeper into Dina's past and find trouble.
The trail of devastated, demoralized, destitute, financially bankrupt men.
In 1982, Dina's first husband, Lee, is promised a life of riches.
They love Sean the leprechaun.
You're joking.
They are offering us a fortune.
She tells him they are going to be millionaires, thanks to a tiny leprechaun.
They came up with this idea for a stuffed toy. They called this character Sean the Leprechaun. Dina told everybody that it was going to go global.
Dina isn't the only one who believes in the leprechaun. She claims a global toy company based in the States wants a piece of the action.
You clever woman.
She produced letters to persuade him that, in fact, they had got interest from these huge companies.
We're going to be so rich.
So Lee gave up his day job. They devoted all their time to Sean the Leprechaun.
But there's no contract and no money coming in. They're broke, and debt collectors are knocking on the door. Fearing she'll be found out, Dina makes up another outrageous story.
She then came up with this story to tell Lee that the mafia had got involved.
Thank God you're home. He followed me.
Wow.
He said they were going to kill you.
So when bailiffs visited to get money because they'd fallen into debt because they weren't working, Lee believed that they were mafia people come to get him.
What are we going to do?
You have to get away.
It sounds absurd, but if you'd been in Dina's world for several years with a drip, 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 drip of mind control, then you might actually believe what she was saying.
Dina played with Lee like a cat plays with a wounded mouse, and she enjoyed it.
Believing his life is in danger, Lee agrees to go into hiding.
He disappeared for years. He changed his identity, slept rough all over England.
While Dina enjoys all the comforts of home, Lee spends 3 years underground, always hoping he can return to his wife.
Hello?
Is it safe to come home yet?
No, it's still not safe.
I can't do it this much longer.
You have to. For me. For us.
Lee always believed that he was doing the right thing, that one day the phone call would come saying, come back, and it never came.
I should go. We don't want them to trace the call.
There will be no homecoming for Lee and no divorce. Not even when Dina moves on to second husband, Julian Webb.
Just Mom. Her usual bad timing. Now, where were we?
Dina is not just a liar. She is now a bigamist.
Dina chose her victims very well. Sociopaths are good at choosing people they sense they can manipulate.
Once again, Dina spins a tall story of a wealthy life in the States.
They were going to emigrate to America and that he'd been offered a job out there.
She had this American dream that all the men talked about, and we never actually really got to the bottom of why.
They should be celebrating. But Julian is in no shape to party. June 30th, 1994. A sleepy suburb near Littlehampton in the south of England.
What are we going to do?
You have to get away.
34-year-old Dina Webb has one husband on the run from the mafia and another dying in her bed.
We had our suspicions that everything was not quite as it should be. He was off sick, and uncharacteristically, we didn't hear anything from him. And on the second day when he didn't appear, a colleague actually rang Dina and asked about Julian. And she said, oh, he's sick, and put the phone down.
A number of people had called the house, and Dina had told a number of stories about why he couldn't come to the phone.
Nobody knows what was going on in the house during that time.
Dina finally calls for help.
They found Julian on the bed. His body was already quite rigid. Dina presented the paramedics with a bottle of tablets saying,
This is what he took.
Dina claims Julian has taken antidepressants, but that is hard for his family to swallow.
Julian was a fitness fanatic. He didn't drink, he didn't take drugs, he wouldn't even take an aspirin.
Dina may be slow to call the paramedics, but she's quick to call about his insurance benefits.
She appeared on the doorstep of the office the following morning.
Hello, Dina.
Julian is dead.
She said, Julian's dead. I need to know about his insurance money. And it was all in the same breath. And I thought, wow, this can't be for real.
An autopsy concludes a fatal overdose is the likely cause of death.
Although it was treated as suspicious, and although there were anomalies in her story, it was never really investigated as a murder. And that's how the matter rested for several years.
Dina gets away with murder once, but her attack on Richard Thompson will be her undoing.
Lightning never strikes twice. And when I heard about the other case that she'd been investigating for, that immediately aroused my interest.
We then reopened the investigation into the suspicious death of Julian Webb.
6 years after his death, Julian's body is exhumed and examined by top forensic scientists. They confirm antidepressants caused his death, but not one dose.
We were able to involve international toxicological experts who were able to examine his stomach contents, his blood content, and what these experts were able to say was that this couldn't have been a suicide. This must have been infused into the body over 3 or 4 days.
Dina's unsavory side is exposed.
Dina had cooked a hot curry for Julian in the week before he died.
Here you go.
You're not having any?
No, I'm full.
This is my favourite.
Yeah, no.
We believe that she'd crushed the drugs into the curry and he'd eaten it, and then it'd get sent him into a stupor over a few days.
Too weak to move, Julian is totally vulnerable.
The last days of Julian Webb would have been horrific as he lay there knowing that something was happening to him. But no doctor came, his mother didn't come, no friends came to the house. He was totally isolated.
9 years after Julian dies, his killer is finally revealed. In 2003, Dina Thompson receives life with a minimum of 16 years for murder.
Dina was a master manipulator of other people. One husband murdered. Another almost murdered. And a third on the run.
I've dealt with 50-odd murders. I have nightmares about 2. One of them is this case.
There you go.
And the reason I still have nightmares about it is I worry about when did he realise that instead of a lover, he was dealing with a killer.
December 1920, Newark, New Jersey.
What do you think you're doing? Just making it a little more tasty.
21-year-old Frances Creighton is a matriarch in the making.
How dare you?
You can't talk to Mom like that.
But this isn't her home. It belongs to her in-laws.
Fanny, please serve the stew, and I hope it's not spoiled. Fine.
They've welcomed their son John and his new bride, and even found room for her brother.
That made the house a little crowded. It was a little cramped quarters for all of them living in one house.
And when both women try to run the household, tempers boil over.
Her mother-in-law didn't get along with Frances.
It's very nice, thank you.
There's one cook too many. But Anna won't be the head chef for long.
Frances's mother-in-law starts complaining of stomach pains and intestinal pains.
Their disputes are forgotten. Frances rallies around.
Frances gained the trust of people because she came across as caring and nurturing and wanted to take care of them.
But within a week, Anna is dead.
The family doctor writes the death certificate as death by ptomaine poisoning.
She's gone, John.
He admits later he has no idea what caused this death.
One mysterious death follows another.
Less than a year later, Frances's father-in-law dies. Again, the family doctor is mystified about the cause of death.
Frances now has what she wants: control of the house. Next, she takes charge of her brother's affairs.
Frances convinces her brother to take out a life insurance policy on himself, naming her as the beneficiary. It's worth $1,000. Around that time also, he comes into an inheritance from their parents, which is $1,800. It's very shortly after this that he too ends up dead.
This is one death too many. Authorities investigate Frances.
Newark police were very suspicious about her possibly killing her brother for the insurance money. So they had exhumed his body, and they also exhumed the mother-in-law's body.
What they find is arsenic.
The poison seemed to be spread through her kitchen, through what should be life-giving. It was her food that was killing the people around her.
Police think it's an open and shut case. But Frances is pregnant, a sympathetic defendant, when she's tried for murdering her brother and mother-in-law.
They resulted in 2 sensational trials in 1923. She's only 24. She's 9 months pregnant, so that creates a lot of natural sympathy in the media and even the prosecutors in the case.
Convicting a mother-to-be is too much for the jury.
She goes to trial twice. Both times she's found not guilty.
We truly will never know how she managed to get acquitted of both of those crimes.
Frances escapes a jail term, but her reputation is in tatters. Her husband stands by her, and they move to Long Island, New York. 14 years later, with her murky past behind her, Frances is once again an ordinary housewife. It's the Great Depression, and times are tough. They take in a family named the Applegates.
So, Everett, how was your trip?
Oh, it was great.
Everett, Ada, and their teenage daughter, Agnes. A roommate for Frances's daughter, Ruth, now 14.
John says we can split expenses.
Hope you enjoy it. We're very pleased to have you.
Thank you.
This is during the Great Depression, and an arrangement like that isn't unusual.
Please call me Abby.
The house is now packed to the rafters.
The Creightons had 1 bedroom. The Applegates had 1 bedroom. And the children went upstairs to the attic where they stayed.
Occupying the most space is Ada Applegate.
Ada is 250, 280 pounds.
Abby! Abby!
She's confined to her bed basically all day.
You were with one of your women, weren't you?
Please don't start, Ada.
She's not loved by anybody in the house.
You're a worthless husband.
As you keep telling me.
Not by her husband, not by her daughter,
Go back to your tarts!
not by Frances.
Everett turns to Frances for comfort.
Everett and Frances started out as friends, living under the same roof. But they ended up much more than that.
Oh, Abby, we shouldn't really.
But Frances isn't the only Creighton on her lover's radar. On Long Island, New York, Frances Creighton is a woman who expects to get her way. She beats 2 murder charges and now takes her lodger, Everett, as a lover. But Frances isn't the only female Everett has eyes for. Her young daughter, Ruth, gets extra special attention.
Everett always wants to be around Ruth, who is just 14 years old.
Fondness is one thing. Sex with a minor, something else entirely. Everett's depravity sinks deeper. He carries on the affair in the same bed as his own daughter. The twisted union won't stay secret for long.
She knows that her lover, Everett, is actually sleeping with her daughter.
Everett's betrayal should make a mother crazy. But perversely, it doesn't.
She's more upset that because they're sleeping together, Ruth might get pregnant.
Everett now pushes his luck, shamelessly flaunting all in front of wife, Ada.
As an outlet, she does a lot of gossiping, a lot of talk around the neighborhood, and a lot of it is angry, mean talk about the goings-on in her own house.
Gossip about the affairs is bad enough. But Frances has a bigger worry. Ada knows another secret.
She knows that Frances was once accused of these poison murders. And she's always saying, I'm going to tell the neighbors, I'm going to tell everyone about this.
The only way to stop the information leaking out is to get rid of the person.
Friday the 13th, September 1935. Ada Applegate learns a bitter lesson. When you challenge Frances Creighton, there are unsavory consequences. Frances calls for help from an old friend, arsenic.
Frances administers the poison on a gradual level over the next few days and keeps increasing it until Ada is horribly sick. The arsenic is working all over her intestines, her heart, and it's affecting her mind.
Come on, Ada. You have to eat something.
Arsenic is a horrible way to die. Terrible, terrible stomach pains, nausea, vomiting, seizures, ending in death.
After After 14 days of ingesting poison, Ada Applegate's horrific ordeal finally ends.
The doctor is pretty mystified, just as the doctors were mystified about the deaths in Newark 11 years before.
But an eagle-eyed citizen connects the dots.
The police aren't even involved in this until a neighbor sends them anonymously a package of newspaper clippings.
Frances's past will be her undoing. She is arrested and stands trial for first-degree murder.
It was the fourth murder that she was likely connected to, but it's the first one she's found guilty of. And for this one, she goes to the electric chair.
Frances Creighton wants complete control. 4 victims discover no grievance is forgotten, no challenge unpunished.
Frances's motive for killing Ada was basically to shut her up, to save face.
When a bent and twisted woman wants the ultimate power over her family, it can lead to murder.